Hi guys, so I wanted to make this video for you all as a kind of kickoff to 2018 and to share with you guys some books that I've read and a book that I'm currently reading that I think would be a great way to start off your year and to help any of you guys either recovering from an eating disorder or wanting to expand your spiritual journey in any way or shape or form. These are the ones that I'm going to be sharing with you guys. I'm just gonna pick one up and just talk about it. Books I'm going to be sharing with you today are books that have personally helped me through my eating disorder recovery as well as helped me grow spiritually. So first, I'm probably going to share my eating disorder recovery ones since those are the ones I probably have the most of today. So this first one is called Life Without Ed, and it's by Jenny Schaefer. I think I pronounced her last name right. So this book was kind of the catalyst that kind of got me into recovery. I had read this book probably about six months before I even started recovery, but it was kind of a way for me to realize that I had a problem, because I had struggled early on in my eating disorder with admitting that I actually had one and that I actually had a problem with food. And this book really dives into helping remind you that you're not alone and that it's okay to admit that you have a problem, because not admitting you have a problem is worse. It also helped me to realize the difference between my voice and the eating disorder's voice. Reading this book gave me the ability to separate that voice and know that that voice is not my voice. That Ed is the voice of my eating disorder, and I, if anything, do not want to make him happy. So it really helps. And I totally recommend this for anyone struggling or anyone with an eating disorder. Even if you've been recovered for a year, I would still recommend you read this book, because she talks about relapsing and how 10 years later, how she is today, and it's really amazing. So yeah, the second book I wanted to share with you is Unfiltered, and it's by Lily Collins. For those of you who don't know, she is a actress, and she's one of my favorite actresses, actually. And when I heard that she wrote this book and when I read this book that she wrote, I was left very inspired, because I didn't know that she too had gone through an eating disorder. And reading this book and hearing her point of view on it acted as a reminder to me that thousands and thousands of people are going through this, and if you ever feel like you're alone, you're not. And this book also talks about her dreams and her relationships, and it talks a lot about her relationships. And it also taught me that to be cautious and aware of who you have relationships with, because those relationships can be affecting you negatively, and if they are affecting you negatively, as hard as it might be to let go, that sometimes letting go is the only option, and it ends up benefiting you, even though it might hurt at first. I don't know if that made sense, but either way, this book is very, very good, and I totally recommend you read it. Another book is this book that I got after I just started following, her name is Mel Wells, and this book is called The Goddess Revolution, and it says, "Make peace with food, love your body, and reclaim your life." So I was introduced to this book by actually finding her Instagram page over maybe almost a year ago, or maybe less than that, but it's definitely been quite a few months, over half a year, since I started following her on Instagram. But this book was amazing. In it talks about kind of realizing that diets don't work, and accepting your body and relinquishing that fear of food is your way to freedom. And it talks about fitting in, and in this book she also talks about how she let go of yo-yo dieting and how she reclaimed her body back and her power, the power she had over her body, and rather than choosing to confide with society's standards on, oh, you have to be a size 0 or a size 2 in order to be pretty, she was very inspirational with how she addressed how she just let go of all that and just started to love her body, and the woman she is today is amazing. And I feel like my explanation doesn't do this book justice, but it's, all these books are good. So if anything, this book reminded me that I'm worth more than a number. So if you ever need some love or some affirmation kind of book, then this is the book for you to read. Another book would have to be, my last kind of like recovery book, I'd say is Breaking Vegan. Although I do promote veganism, because this book is not, I'm not recommending this book on terms of dieting or that you should go vegan or you should do this, you should eat that, you should eat this. I'm recommending this book for recovery, as in like how she chose recovery and how she perceived going through recovery. So her story is very inspirational. She talks about how, I don't want to go into detail, but she talks about how she found a plant-based lifestyle, and through that she developed this kind of like obsession with clean eating and not being able to eat processed food because that would have been bad, and how she developed this whole social media platform on how veganism is like the best thing in the world and all that. And then the one time she tried to choose recovery and admit that she had an issue with food and she had stopped going vegan, she received a bunch of like hate and bad vibes from the vegan community and people and her followers, and her strength to push through that and to continue to choose recovery and not confiding into what those people were criticizing her about or telling her to do is, I found very inspirational. And if anything, her book taught me to move forward even when other people might judge you or criticize you for doing what they would think is wrong. And so that's why this is a good book. Before I get into the spiritual books, I just want to quickly share this book I'm currently reading. It's called The Self-Love Experiment by Shannon Kaiser. And this book, I have only gotten through 70 pages of it, but it's really helping me so far with kind of realizing that I need to show more self-compassion towards myself, and the mistakes that I feel like I might make with food, I need to just let go of and show compassion and say it's okay, rather than say, oh, how could you do that? You can't eat that, or you can't eat this. At the end of the book, I think she lists like principles that, it says 15 principles for becoming more kind, compassionate, and accepting of yourself. So I think near the end, she's going to list like different principles that you can practice in order to help you develop a more loving nature with yourself. But what I think is cool is that in a part of the book, she talks about how our bodies, our souls and our bodies are kind of like an arranged marriage, and it's not like we didn't ask to be put together, but it just so happens that the universe did arrange us to be together, and we can't get out of it. So you have to learn to make the most of it and love your body and love your relationship with your body rather than try to get out of it. I will probably make another video on like self-love books or self-care or something like that, and I'll talk about this book when I finish it. But this is so far a good book. Now on to some books that have helped me on my spiritual journey. So this is The Untethered Soul. This is by Michael A. Singer, and his books have to be like the best books I've probably ever read. I've read this book as well as his book called The Surrender Experiment, and they both really touch deep into how our souls are connected to the universe and how all of our energies intertwine and connect with each other in some way. So the Untethered Soul specifically kind of talks about our relationship and our souls and how they are connected to the universe. And what I liked about this book was it kind of taught me how my thoughts do not define who I am. They're not me. And this kind of also helps for those people struggling with an eating disorder as well, or any mental illness, because those thoughts of I'm not worthy, I'm ugly, I'm too big, I'm too small, those kinds of thoughts, if you're thinking them and you're observing that you're thinking them, then you're not those thoughts. And one of my favorite analogies he gives in this book is by saying that someone presents you with 3 flower pots and they tell you that you are this flower, and you say, no, I'm not this flower, and then they say, why? And then you say, because I can see that flower, therefore I am not that flower. And he connects this by saying that kind of observance is justifying how you aren't your thoughts. Because if you can see your thoughts in your head being talked about and projected into your mind, then you can't possibly be them, because you're the one observing them. You are not that thing. So that really helped me. This book, it's called The 4 Agreements, and it's by Don Miguel Ruiz. In this book, he talks about kind of claiming your happiness and basically teaching you that all the things that you might feel are out of your control are actually in your control. And you can gain happiness and personal freedom by following the 4 agreements. I won't tell you the 4 agreements, but by reading them, or by reading this book, I hope it would help you to kind of find your own happiness and realize that you have the ability to find happiness, and it's all in the palm of your hand. Also, this book called Living Beautifully with Uncertainty and Change by Pema Chödrön. I don't know. There's a certain way you pronounce the 2 dots on the O, but I don't know. So, this book was kind of a miracle because I kind of needed it in a moment, and it just sort of was there. And I am a big worrier when it comes to being uncertain and things changing, because I feel like it's out of my control. But in this book, she talks about going and accepting change and uncertainty as a way to grow, because when the universe presents you with uncertainty and change, that the universe is trying to make you stronger and make you more wise. So her perception on uncertainty and change really helped me be more accepting of that in the first place. So definitely recommend this book too. And then the last book I'm going to recommend is Ask and It Is Given, and it is by Esther and Jerry Hicks, and they have written a bunch of other spiritual books. I have their Law of Attraction one that I have yet to read, and I'm going to read eventually. But this book is kind of a mixture of a bunch of different things. It mainly talks about the Law of Attraction. I've noticed just by reading this book that it's mainly the Law of Attraction, because it talks about learning to manifest your desires. And I'm a stickler for the Law of Attraction. I really love the idea of it and how it is applied. I've actually tried applying it myself, and I feel like it has worked somewhat. I'll probably go into more detail about that in another video maybe. But I really recommend this book for those of you who kind of want to, as another book to kind of cultivate your own happiness and connect deeper with you, with your inner desires, and yeah, I don't know any other way to put it, but yeah, I totally recommend this book. And then I also wanted to recommend, I know these aren't books, but they're magazines. It's called I don't want to say the company, but the edition is called Breathe magazine, and these magazines are really cool. They talk about wellness, kindness, mindfulness, and inspiration, and the articles are kind of like overcoming fears, dealing with uncertainty and change, as well as being more accepting of yourself. And it's kind of like a whole positive book and mindful book on ways to connect deeper with yourself, show some self-love, and to kind of heal emotionally, physically, and mentally. So I would totally recommend those books for those of you on a spiritual journey, as well as those of you recovering from any mental illness or just want a little like pick-me-up or positivity in your life. I will list all of these books in the description below. So I hope all of you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe, and be sure to click the bell icon below to get notifications as to when I post a video next. I really hope you also like the books. If you have any requests or comments, or if you have any other books you would like to share that you found were really helpful, be sure to just leave a comment below. Other than that, I hope all of you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Bye!